Hey folks, Alcris here with another quick video, this time a patch review for the latest test patch, build 61162, released today, June 22nd. I'm going to go through the patch notes, take a look at what's different. Overall, this looks like a pretty good patch, more balance changes, some nice adjustments to families in particular to strengthen some of the weaker ones and weaken some of the strong ones. So yeah, let's get right into it. Our first thing is there's this new dynasty system added. The patch note's a little confusing, but No Legs Kitten was kind enough to elucidate it for me in the Discord. Basically, Greece has 4 new dynasties. So if we start a game as Greece and pick preset leader as our archetype, we'll have this new drop down here for dynasty. There's Philip, who previously started with Greece. There's Ptolemy, Leonidas, Pericles, and Alexander. So we know what Philip does. He's a bold commander, the default current leader with Greece. Let's take a look at the others. Here's Ptolemy. He's been a bodyguard of the great Alexander and have accompanied him into many battles. You were a very skilled warrior in your younger days, but age has taken its toll on you, as it does on all mortals. You become a scholar and historian working on documenting your people's past, and you believe that the scientific pursuits will lead to a brighter future. Bernice is your wife, by whom you have a son and a daughter. The future of your dynasty is secure, but you still have a number of years left on the throne. Your rule shall be known as the time when a great new power emerged out of the old world. So we see Princess Arsinoi, I'm not entirely sure how to say that, and Duke Ptolemy, as well as Bernice. Very cool. Personally, I have to say I love changes like this. I'm a huge history nerd, and anything that adds more flavor. Been playing a lot of random leaders in MP, but I kind of like the dynasty changes here, and I can't wait to see all these for each nation. And especially some of them are somewhat unique. We have Ptolemy, who is an educated scholar and can tutor kids as a leader, so pretty standard there. I believe that he also unlocks building a special type of shrine. Not entirely sure, so his tooltip implied that on the leading screen, but I don't actually see it here. Let's take a look here. Ptolemy character. Nope, doesn't say anything. Ptolemy has this special shrine that he can build. I just researched divination. It's the Shrine of Serapis. It's, I guess, a 5th shrine, in addition to Greek's standard 4. This one looks like it's a civic, a year per adjacent Odeon, which is super strong. Similar to, so it's like the Babylon, it's the Babylon version of the Shrine of Athena. That's super cool. And it also reduces discontent by 1 a year. So it's like a different version of the Shrine of Athena, similar to Babylon's, but this one has the Odeon adjacency. So that's super nice for civic stacking in a city. And Ptolemy also has this Recruit Scholar event, which is amazing. It costs 400 gold and 100 civics and 2 orders, and you get a scholar. So let's get some gold. All right, we've got enough gold to recruit the scholar. We click the button. Now we wait 2 years. And the Recruit Scholar mission has led to an event, and we've extended a personal offer of royal sponsorship to Euclid, the Intelligent, a great mathematician who teaches not far from the royal palace. He has written 13 books on mathematics, and you even found the time to read some of the treatise, which is undoubtedly brilliant, although difficult to follow. You got as far as book 4, where Euclid constructs regular polygons, but you couldn't quite follow the process for the 6-sided version. During an audience with Euclid, you ask whether there's an easier way to learn than reading his works, but Euclid's replies that there is no royal road to geometry. And we now have this awesome scholar courtier. And so that's pretty cool. Just for fun, I ran another Recruit Scholar mission. This time we got another scholar. No special text for this. It's not as cool as Euclid, I guess. But we got some Leonidas, no relation to the other Leonidas. So an orator court scholar. So that's pretty cool. In fact, really powerful, because currently there's no real reliable way to get courtiers. Ptolemy does, which is kind of amazing, and he's a scholar, which means you can be guaranteed to double tutor your kid if you can immediately get 400 gold to recruit the court scholar. And one last point, it looks like this caps out at 2. So once you've recruited 2 scholars, you can't recruit anymore. That seems reasonable, but still very powerful to be able to start the game with 2 court scholars. This time we're going to select Leonidas, a uniquely powerful warrior. You are Leonidas, the 17th Agiad king of Sparta, and you trace your ancestry to Hercules himself. Your elder brother Dorius had expected to inherit the throne and was so outraged at being bypassed that he left to try to colonize faraway Libyan lands. Of all the Spartan youths, you were superior in the long and grueling training. Your understanding of military tactics is excellent, and your own physical prowess is as great as any mortal's. You stand ready to lead Greece no matter what challenges it may face, with your wife Gorgo ready to fight by your side. The time has come for all to learn that you, Leonidas, are the greatest warrior in the old world. All right. So he's a hero, and he's got this cool trait, Indomitable, which means he has 50% crit rate as the leader and a general, which is kind of amazing. And he has this trait, Fated to Die, which I presume ties into the event system in some way that prevents him from living too long. So hopefully he and his beautiful wife can get a kid soon so that there's not an inheritance crisis. So seems like, interesting starting character. Next, we'll take a look at Pericles. You are Pericles, the first citizen of Athens. You rule by merit, not by birthright. As a quiet youth, you immersed yourself in the study of music, philosophy, and rhetoric. Later, you made a name for yourself in politics, and with time, your education came to also include military matters, at which you proved adept. Now, you are recognized as a great statesman and orator, and also respected as a military leader, but your fame does not extend far from your home city. It is up to you to show everyone why you are the most versatile statesman in the old world. So Pericles is a first citizen orator and also has this unique trait similar to Leonidas with his Indomitable. It is first citizen. As a governor, he has minus 25% improvement costs. And as a general, has like a super version of epics that basically gives 15 culture per military unit killed into the nearest city and minus 15 discontent to that same city. So super epics version. And he has a 27-year-old wife, Aspasia, who's wanton and has a lot of charisma. So another interesting leader. Really excited to see how this dynasty system shapes up. And last, certainly not least, Alexander. You are Alexander, the young and extremely ambitious king. Your father might have been the greatest conqueror in Greek history, but you were only 13 when you convinced him that you would one day surpass his fame. After your father's assassination, you became king, and you are ready to ride the mighty Bucephalus to victory. Your closest allies on the court are your mother Olympias, a master of political intrigue, and your tutor Aristotle, who has taught you since you were a child. With your unmatched skill, endless thirst for power, and an education from the greatest contemporary thinker, you will show why you are the greatest conqueror in the old world. So Alexander is a 19-year-old hero with bold, so always very good for hero. Olympias is a schemer, which I thought I saw can influence on behalf of Alexander. And Aristotle is a court scholar who's intelligent. So yeah, let's found and see what. How does Olympias do her thing? So she can influence via. No, that's Alexander influencing her. But if we look at another character, we can actually see that she can influence for 100 civics, which is kind of expensive considering influence normally requires gold. And it's on behalf of Alexander, so I presume it doesn't stack. Let's try it out and see if it does stack or not. So we've influenced, and I'm pretty sure we can't influence again because she's already influenced, even though it was actually Olympias who influenced for us. So that seems more flavor than anything else. 100 civics is probably not worth paying for influence, and it doesn't let you double influence. But I mean, if your leader is super busy and you have a lot of civics, it seems unlikely in the early game, but definitely an interesting addition. Right, so that was a bit of an extended preview of this new Dynasty system. Super, super excited to see how that goes. It's only available for Greece right now and does require the expansion pack, but I'm incredibly excited to see what historical characters are going to be added for all the other nations in Old World, and maybe it'll mix up the multiplayer meta. Yeah, Ptolemy being able to recruit courtiers is kind of amazing, and being a scholar himself, I would definitely take Ptolemy a lot of the time um, over a random leader potentially, just for the courtiers alone, especially if you're playing without goody huts in multiplayer. Yeah, and I think the biggest thing is it's going to allow for different preset openings and sort of mixing up the nations without necessarily going all random leaders. So you have a little more consistency, similar to Pick Later, but a little more flavor as well. So super excited to see how that goes. Next up, let's talk about the adjusted difficulty settings. Um, so essentially, the TLDR is the easy difficulties became a little easier. Most notably, the AI will not force march on the able and the just, which is very good for new players who do not expect units coming from way out of vision range. And then the great particularly has changed a little bit here. You have AI is now competitive with advanced development and moderate advantage. So before there was AI aggression and AI development, and now it's called, I guess, AI advantage has been renamed into AI handicap. And you can see it is now either a penalty, and it looks like the able has the moderate penalty that it costs 10% additional unit consumption. Every city gets 2 discontent a turn, less growth, less civics, less training, and less science. The small penalty that is at the just, basically nerfing the AI a little bit. The good doesn't have any penalty or advantage. Same with the strong, although it has fledgling development. So 2 cities and 2 technologies. So basically, you're not starting as far behind in the early difficulties as you were, and the AI is penalized a bit more. Moving up to noble, you see the AI goes to established, which is 3 cities, and stays there until you get to the magnificent, where it gets to advanced, which is 4 cities and 4 technologies. And at magnificent, you also have a small advantage. And then finally on the great, you are at competitive AI with advanced development, not massive development, with 5 cities and 5 technologies, just advanced. And also you have moderate advantage, which is minus 5% unit consumption, 25 civics, 25 training, and 2.5 orders a turn. Every city gets 20% science, minus 2 discontent, and minus 10% maintenance cost. And all cities give out 10 XP for new units, minus 20% improvement costs, minus 10% specialist and project costs. So that's a pretty significant advantage for the great. Super excited. I think this is similar to the test game I did with the Hittites. I think this may have been in that patch, although it was not well documented in the UI, so now it is. So super excited. I think this is a good change. Makes the easy difficulties a little easier and makes the more challenging difficulties more challenging, especially coupled with the change that AIs can declare war at cautious. I think that's a great change. All right, I promised this was going to be a quick video, so I'm going to go through quickly. I spent a bit of time on the dynasty changes. So Finishing Wonder reveals the city tiles. Presumably that shows you the city that the wonder is in. Usually Finishing Wonder reveals the wonder, but not the city. Now I guess it will also show the city that the wonder was produced in. So clerics now have 100% output from monasteries and temples, and start with monasticism. If we look in the encyclopedia, monasteries and temples are now 100% output, which is significant, and they get monasticism, which means they can build monasteries right away to get that 100% output, and they found a religion, and they also unlock monotheism right away, so they can get that sweet, sweet order a turn as well. Not sure this is going to be enough to convince me to play with clerics in MP, but I think it may make me interested in trying them in SP particularly. And that free monasticism tech is actually quite a lot in terms of it's a guaranteed law that you get for free every game. So maybe, I mean, I think the challenge is Egypt and Persia have pretty good families. I mean, maybe as Egypt, I don't know. Monasticism is a pretty deep tech. We'll look at some of the changes to sages here in a second, but I could definitely see clerics coming in for sages in Egypt potentially. So something to try out. Traders have one order per Boolean resource. So going here into the encyclopedia, Boolean resources are gems, gold, silver, and pearls. Um, and you get an order a turn in every city that has one of those resources. This is kind of big in that anything that gives you orders in Old World is really, really powerful. So yeah, I mean, Carthage in particular can have traders and statesmen, both of which give orders. Statesmen are one order per city, but traders can beat statesmen in their cities, not just one order a city. If you have some gold and some pearls, or that's 2 orders, and if you've got some gems as well, that's 3 orders. That's kind of great, as well as sort of their upgrade years for Hamlet improvements. So very good change. And just for reference, this is traders right now. So you'll see that 20 gold per turn per Boolean resource has turned into that order per turn per Boolean resource, which is much more impactful than 20 gold per turn. And just for completeness, clerics moved from 50% monastery and temple output to 100%, and also got monasticism as a free tech. That wasn't there before. So sages now have the family seat giving plus 25% science, which is worth pointing out with the next thing. Scholars, the leaders now give 2 science per archive, and governors unlock inquiry. So sages on live right now have the family seat unlock inquiry, and that is now plus 25% science. And then they still keep the random tech, but scholars now, instead of having as a governor, you get 2 turn per archive. Now governors unlock inquiry, which is pretty nice. And the leader has the increase in the capital, so these 2 swap. So here we are on test. Sages now have plus 25% science per family seat, which is not as great as having a guaranteed inquiry in the family seat. And scholars have now flipped. The 2 turn per archive is no longer governability, instead running an inquiry is, and the 2 science per turn per archive is instead a leader ability. That was honestly pretty underwhelming, but this makes scholar governors very, very good. You want to put a scholar governor anywhere that you have great civics production, so that you can get inquiries up and running. And it no longer constrains you to trying to have your sage's seat be your inquiry pump. Any city with great civics production that can have a scholar governor can be an inquiry pump. So it frees up sort of city planning quite a bit, and you're no longer as constrained at having to get marble or having to panically find marble or figure out good growth with a poet or something for your sage's seat. I like the change a lot. I think this was one suggested by Filthy Robot in one of his posts or with his interview with Soren. Next, we've got judges can switch laws for 100 civics as a judge leader. So today on live, it is minus 50% switch leader cost. Since switching laws costs 300 civics to start the first time you swap it, that means it's about 150 civics. Now that's going to be 100 civics. And here we see on test that it is indeed 100 civics, and that's a flat cost. So kind of nice. If you have a judge leader, you can switch laws a lot more easily than before, and I presume it doesn't scale up in costs either. This patch note is a change for hero leaders. As general, they currently give 40 training a kill. They now go to 50 training a kill. That seems like a nice buff for hero leaders, but they're already pretty strong. The goods boost card has doubled its yield. So today on live, the goods boost is 200 iron, 200 stone, and 200 wood, and requires manor. And here's manor on test, and you see the goods boost card is now 400 iron, 400 stone, and 400 wood. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure that I'm going to be taking it, but maybe if I need to cycle text, it's a little more attractive. But yeah, I mean, 400 wood, particularly pretty cool, but still not that interesting. But a good change for a card. I mean, Soren hasn't taken Sid's advice to heart and just doubled the number to see if players will keep taking it. And maybe if people don't start taking it, it'll double again. And I would definitely take it at 800 of each resource, especially 800 wood. Holy crap. So yeah. Unlimbered units now suffer a 10% defensive penalty. So it's a little easier to kill onagers that are unlimbered. makes sense. They have settled down to fire or mangonels, so it seems like a good change to make it a little harder to, or a little easier to break underlines. Stunned units no longer have zone of control. This makes a lot of sense. If they're stunned, they shouldn't exert a zone of control. Added new characters to courtier events. I think this refers to some of the tribal courtier events where you have 3 identical courtiers with different names. I'm not entirely sure, but I believe that's what it refers to. So basically, you'll have greater diversity in the courtiers that you're offered from events that give you courtiers. Adjusted distribution of starting locations for single-player maps. I think this change inspired by some discussion in the Discord with some great map illustrations from Scientific that made it pretty evident that starting locations in single player were a little lopsided. So great to see this change, one from the community. Raiders are more likely to attack units of the nation they are raiding. This is a great change. There's nothing more frustrating than having a raid spawn, and they march across your empire to go attack someone else, and then they decide they are going to attack you, even though someone else they are attacking may be invading your nation at the same time. War declaration pop-up now has additional text depending on the relative power of the other player. I played some turns trying to get a war declaration pop-up. Maybe, yeah, I'm not sure exactly what this means. Couldn't get it to pop up. Might not be in single player. Not sure. I will say I was playing the turns as Alexander, and there are some custom events for Alexander. Like his tutor comes and joins as a courtier. His best friend comes and joins as a courtier, and I presume all the Dynasty things have things like that. So great additional flavor there. Very briefly, some art and UI changes. All seems pretty good. One to call out here, the border growth preview now works for events as well as text. No more having to undo to see which tiles the border expansion events give you. Some more portraits have been added. The game tells you to click to skip animations a little more easily. Some localization fixes and a bunch of excellent bug fixes, as always. So overall, I'd say this is a pretty cool patch. Perhaps the most important change is some of the family changes. These are particularly big. I think overall this makes patrons quite a bit stronger, and civs that have patrons, because they can now get inquiry in any city. And since patrons have the ability to buy a city project with gold, hurry production with gold. So just pulling up the hurry production thing from my spreadsheet here. Patrons' families can hurry projects with gold, which is super valuable. Since now scholar governors can unlock inquiry, and inquiry is a city project, that means scholar governors in patron cities can buy research with money. I'll say that again because it's really important. Scholar governors in patron cities can buy research through hurrying production of inquiry with money. Obviously, the cost will scale up, and it's not going to be achievable in every city, but it will scale up per city. And obviously, getting a scholar governor in late game in a high culture city can give you quite a bit of inquiry. Like taking a look here at inquiry, that's 40 signs for inquiry 1, 80 for 2, 120 for 3, and 160 for 4 at legendary. Buying 120 signs for gold seems really, really strong. And you're probably going to have some cities at strong, and definitely some at developing. Plop a scholar governor in a patron city at developing, spend some gold for the first purchase to hurry the project of Inquiry 2 and get some research right away. It's going to be really powerful. Might be some interesting patrons traders plays with Hati because they have both those families available. So yeah, I really like this change in particular because I think it opens up the way the game can go, and it kind of gets you out of a static situation and adds a lot of diversity. So yeah, those are significant changes, as well as the difficulty changes for single player, and then the dynasty system, which is really, really awesome. And I can't wait to see what Mohawk is going to do with this as they add in for additional nations. The flavor events, the story, the history stuff, all that looks really great. So hats off to the team at Mohawk. It looks like another awesome patch, and looking forward to playing this when it hits live.